Story 1. I had camped alone dozens of times before, so when I told people I was heading out for a 3-day solo trip in late September, I barely got more than the usual nods and reminders to bring bug spray. I liked the quiet. I liked waking up with cold air on my face and the sound of leaves moving like water against each other. I worked in tech and spent too much time in front of a screen, so the ritual felt like a reset. I picked a more isolated spot than usual that year, a small lake with only a few marked campsites about 1.5 miles off the main trail. No cell signal, which I had always thought of as a feature instead of a problem. The first day was normal. I set up my tent, filtered water, cooked noodles on my small stove. The forest smelled like pine sap and damp soil. When it got dark, it was so complete that even the stars felt louder. I lay there, listening to the occasional splash from the lake and the soft tapping of needles falling onto my rainfly. I slept with the comforting ache in my back that only comes from walking all day. In the morning, I noticed something small but strange. My bear canister had been moved about a foot from where I had left it. It was still sealed. There were no claw marks or tooth holes, just a clean drag line in the dirt. I told myself a raccoon must have tested it and given up. I had coffee, read a paperback, and spent the afternoon fishing without catching a single thing. That night, I heard footsteps. They were slow, deliberate, and human. They came from the direction of the trail, then stopped just beyond the circle of darkness where my campfire glow faded out. I sat there with my heart pounding in my throat. Every rustle felt like it could be someone breathing. I finally called out, trying to sound casual. "Hello? You lost?" Nothing answered. No branch snapped, no deer bolted. After a few minutes, the footsteps retreated the way they had come. I barely slept. The zipper sound of my tent door replayed in my head, even though I never touched it. When I did drift off, I dreamed of eyes I could not quite see. The next morning, my bootlaces were tied into neat knots. That detail broke me a little. An animal could not do that. I packed slowly, feeling exposed every time I had to turn my back. Halfway back to the main trail, I heard the footsteps again. They matched my pace. When I stopped, they stopped. The woods no longer felt like a place. They felt like a mouth that had closed around me. I did not run, but every part of me wanted to. When I reached the parking area, there was a dusty sedan I did not recognize. A man sat in the driver's seat with the window cracked. He looked at me like he was trying to memorize the shape of my face. I locked my doors, started the engine, and drove until my hands stopped shaking. I replaced my love of solitude with caution. I still hike, but I check in with friends, carry a satellite communicator, and choose trails with more people. Sometimes, on quiet mornings, I swear I can still hear those footsteps fall into rhythm with mine. Story 2. My boyfriend and I decided to take a weekend camping trip to work on our relationship. That was the language we used. Work on it. We had been together for 3 years, and lately every conversation felt like walking on ice. The campsite was supposed to be a reset. Fresh air, river sounds, and no phones buzzing on the table while the other person talked. The place we chose was tucked inside a national forest beside a shallow river that smelled clean and metallic. There were a few other campers scattered around, but not close enough that you could hear their conversations. We set up the tent, argued quietly about how to assemble the poles, then laughed about how tense we sounded. By nightfall, it almost felt like the version of us from the first year was still possible. We roasted hot dogs over the fire and listened to the water sliding over rocks. The air cooled fast once the sun dipped behind the trees. I went to brush my teeth at the shared spigot near the entrance and noticed a man at the edge of the clearing. He was standing too still, like he had been carved there. When he realized I saw him, he turned his head, but not his body. Something about that made my shoulders tighten. Back at the tent, I mentioned him. My boyfriend shrugged and said, "Probably another camper." Later, while we tried to sleep, I heard a faint scraping sound outside, like someone dragging a stick through gravel. We stayed quiet, each pretending not to hear it. In the morning, our cooler had been unzipped. Nothing was missing. Everything had just been rearranged. Drinks lined up in neat rows, fruit grouped by colour. The normal world tilted a little. I wanted to leave, but my boyfriend kept saying it would be a waste of a trip. We compromised and agreed to move sites to one closer to the ranger station. As we packed, the man from the night before appeared at the tree line again. He had a notebook tucked under his arm. He stared at our license plate for a long time, then began writing. My boyfriend walked toward him and asked if everything was okay. The man smiled too wide and said, "You should keep track of what matters." We left. On the drive home, my boyfriend apologised for not taking my unease seriously. We talked in simple sentences. That night, when I checked our mailbox, there was a letter with no return address. Inside was a list of everything we had done that weekend, written in small, perfect handwriting. Times, places, snippets of overheard conversation. We filed a police report, but the note had no fingerprints. The officer said something that stuck with me. People forget that camping feels private, but it is still public. You are being watched more than you think. Our relationship did not survive that year, but the memory did. I still camp, but I choose crowded places now. Silence does not relax me anymore. It feels like a space anyone can walk into. Story 3. I joined a small hiking group after a bad breakup. At first, it was just a way to get out of the apartment and stop replaying old arguments in my head. We met every Sunday at the same trailhead, exchanged awkward small talk, then spread out along the path according to our pace. Over time, the routine became something I looked forward to. Coffee in a to-go cup, the smell of sunscreen, the crunch of boots on gravel. There was one man who never spoke. He always walked at the back of the group. I noticed him because he wore the same dark jacket no matter the weather, even in July. His face never matched his body language. He would smile with his mouth, but his eyes stayed flat. I told myself I was being judgmental. Not everyone is good at small talk. One afternoon, the leader had to cancel last minute. Everyone else bailed, except me. I figured I knew the route well enough to go alone. I parked in the dirt lot where the wind whistled through dry grass like a warning. Half a mile in, I heard footsteps behind me. I turned and saw the man in the dark jacket. We walked in silence for a bit, the trail narrowing until we had to pass close. He commented on my shoes. Then, my watch. Then, he asked where I lived. It was too personal, but I laughed it off and changed the subject. The conversation slid back toward me again and again. Eventually, the trees closed in, and the air smelled like wet leaves. The trail forked. He suggested we take the unmarked path. I declined. His smile faded, leaving nothing behind. He lingered there, watching me walk away. I tried to stay calm, but my senses sharpened. The sound of twigs snapping behind me. The faint scent of cigarette smoke that did not belong in the forest. I sped up. The footsteps did too. I did not run until I saw the glint of my car through the trees. As I reached for the handle, a hand grabbed my shoulder. I spun around and shouted. It was him. He said I had dropped something. My chest felt hollow. I got in the car and locked the doors, drove straight to the ranger station and reported it. They took me seriously. 2 weeks later, the group email list got a message from the rangers. The man had been issued a trespass notice after multiple complaints. He had been following hikers, asking invasive questions, and showing up alone when group hikes were cancelled. I quit the group. I still hike, but I no longer post my plans online. I vary my routes. I tell someone when I leave and when I expect to be back. Independence feels different now, less like freedom and more like careful calculation. Sometimes the quiet wilderness is not empty. It just hides the footsteps of whoever is already standing there.